Suddenly, we are at the most unimpressive episode of the show. The sixth episode of And Just Like That Season 3 loses some of its impact after Carrie's trip to Virginia to visit Aidan and her whole "no heels in the house" policy. Or perhaps it's because the slowdown doesn't help the show and the episode highlights its weaknesses. It wasn't entirely bad, but it had trouble keeping my interest. At last, Carrie and Aidan confront the issue at hand. The relationship between Carrie, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Aidan, John Corbett, has advanced quite nicely so far in the season. Given the status of Carrie and Aidan's somewhat stalled relationship, I was wondering if the show would ever touch on the subject of their sexual lives. According to Samantha Jones, Carrie's question, "Did you really expect me to wait 5 years?" was amazing. What a fitting method to address the subject at last. The idea that Carrie would never have sex with anybody else is absurd, and they are currently in limbo. Waiting so long would be unfair to her, especially since she and her downstairs neighbor David, played by Jonathan Cake, who isn't so grumpy anymore, are getting along better and going out to dinner. And so forth. Although it's unclear at the end of the chat whether they agree, at least the topic was discussed. In light of the waiting period and the couple's past, it would be pleasant and interesting if they looked into an open relationship. It also discusses how difficult long-distance relationships can be and how inconsistent communication, sex, and overall love and affection can wear people down. The idea that Carrie would never have sex with anybody else is absurd, and she and Aidan are currently in limbo. Harry's, Evan Handler, cancer diagnosis is still causing Charlotte, Kristen Davis, to struggle, and she is keeping it a secret from her pals. I'm happy she informed Carrie, and I believe that Lisa's, Nicole Ari Parker, grief over Harry's cancer was exacerbated by witnessing how her father's passing affected her. The death of Miranda's, Cynthia Nixon, mother in Sex and the City was handled more effectively. Though perhaps that will alter in the future, he appears to be handling it better than she is. Since her father's passing takes center stage, Lisa does receive a meatier episode than normal. I did laugh when the show shifted from being somewhat depressing to humorous, with Lisa arguing with her father's theatrical partner about taking charge of the funeral arrangements. It was very extravagant. Additionally, I'm relieved since the remainder of the show was tedious, with sequences that seemed too brief to have much of an impact. The capacity of And Just Like That Season 3 to easily brush things under the rug has grown a little annoying. Although topics are being discussed, they are also beginning to seem a little rushed after Miranda connects Joy, who has avoided dating women with children, to Brady. She quickly grows fond of him. And the subject is dropped. I don't think they worked things out completely, even while Aidan's admission that he had an affair with Kathy, Rosemary DeWitt, raises the issue of sleeping with others while Carrie waits for Aidan. Because, sure, 5 years is a long time. It felt somewhat weightless at the time, but I'm sure it will come up again, maybe. There is a noticeable lack of overall tension in this story, which makes things feel more dismissive than necessary, but I'm not expecting characters in their mid to late 50s to blow up at each other or make things greater than they are. Even though Lisa's father passed away from a stroke and his burial turned into a spectacle, which was undoubtedly one of the episode's most amusing elements, the humor is still anticipated to come through. As I write this, it occurs to me that this sixth episode may be among the worst of Season 3 thus far. I would like to see more of the interactions between the primary characters than along with other stuff. Even if And Just Like It has settled into its own rhythm and grown more at ease with itself, it doesn't mean an episode has to be so mediocre when it has the potential to be better. Charlotte and Harry's conversation about constantly enjoying one another didn't go as planned. Apart from her relationship with Charlotte, it's also been increasingly apparent how different Lisa's storylines are from those of the other characters on the show. It's getting a little weird, especially since the other characters went to Lisa's father's burial in this episode. All that relationship building, where is it? The show suffers from the characters' frequent isolation from one another. The dynamics of the major characters are something I could do more of than other things, or in addition to, since they will at least greatly increase the entertainment value. Dare I claim that this show doesn't always grasp a thematic through line? Well, with the narratives of Charlotte and Lisa, it was at least somewhat present. And there's a lot more that Just Like That needs.